the kid
Because you were born here.
home.
Like, you don't even have an accent.
Yeah, no, I was born here. But every single time I ever introduced myself, people would say, where are you from? No, but where are you from? Because you're not from here, obviously. So where are you from?
I want you to sing like a part of what you sang on Paris in front of like a lot of people.
I don't sing for gold, I sing to fight the cold away. When I was little, I loved to sing, and then I had a situation where someone who was very close to me said, you know, you have a really nasal voice, and so I just went,
And you were like,
and
excuse me?
But you know, this is a very controversial statement.
Yeah.
I don't advise for anybody to do drugs, but drugs also saved my life.
I wish you can fix me because I have so many issues. I wish you can fix me like right now. Like that?
You want just like a magical healing?
Maybe, like a little
I think
bit.
it's a different...
Hello, everyone, and thank you one more time for joining me in another episode of Dreams Come True. I'm Camila, I'm the host, and today I have a very special guest. She's a creative director, a musician, and a public speaker. Please, let's give us a big applause for Tihane! Woo! Yes, I did it!
Hello.
Hi, Tihane. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for joining me today, for coming.
Yeah.
And I would like to start this interview by asking you a simple question. So people that don't know you, and maybe they just know you on their social media, something more deep. Like, could you describe yourself in 3 simple words?
3 simple words. I would say soulful. I would say ironic. That's if you know me a little bit more. You know, I have an ironic sense of humor.
All right.
I think all of life is like a hilarious, ironic joke. I can really laugh, even like in the where you can be broken down on the side of the road and like your car is like messed up and I'm like making jokes because I
love it.
Life is
I'm
like
the same way.
ironic and like you have to find your humor.
Exactly.
You know? And the third word would be playful. I'm really playful.
All right.
Yeah.
Playful. Like you like games and stuff?
I love game. I literally have game nights with my friends. I love to make a game out of life. I'm also just playful about art and creativity when I'm writing music and I'm working with people. I also have a very playful energy because I think when we get too serious about things, we can get stuck in our mind and we get fixated and think we're trying to find the answer for something and we get really narrow. But if we stay playful, we can discover all these different possibilities. So I'm playful about as much as I can be.
I like that. It's like basically not take life too serious, you know? Like life, it is serious sometimes, but not take it so serious, you know? It's still like the end of the day, we're here in one journey.
Yeah, it's serious enough. So laugh as much as you can.
Yeah, exactly. I like that. And you say you have a big laugh. I hope I hear it soon today.
You will. I will lean back from the microphone.
I like that. And let's start with your musician side. You're a singer. You're a songwriter. So you perform all your original songs?
Yes, I write all of my songs. I also like to co-write sometimes with people. So I have friends who are also artists or they're musicians and they'll come in and sometimes write together. But most of the time I'm writing on my own. I love to write with other people, but I'm kind of like I'm like a loner, but I have a lot of friends. So I end up traveling a lot by myself or whatever. So I write a lot of my music on my own because it's the way that I like make up stories when I'm with myself, and it's how I keep myself, like keep company to myself.
Yeah, I see that a lot in your Instagram profile that you post. Like every post that you do, even if it's like just a picture or maybe like you dancing, there is always like a big, like it looks like a testimony, like maybe like a poetry or something, you know? And I'm like, is that a song? Is that your song, or is that just like thoughts that comes to your mind? Like, for example, there was one that was like, you said like love is not weak. Love is more like a spine that keeps you walking straight. What is that about?
Yeah. What is that about? We could talk forever. We'll be here all day talking about the meaning of life.
No,
I think for me, when I said love is not weak, love is like a spine, I say that because I think a lot of people when we're growing up, if we're like, you know, if you're a lover girl, you're a lover boy, whatever, people think like, oh, you're weak, you're so emotional, you're always falling in love, or you love too much. Like I am, yeah, me too. And I'm the friend that will be like, I love you, bye. And my friends are like, okay, bye. But I'm like, I love you. And I think that what we understand as you go through more things in life is actually that love that people are telling you is weak. That's like the most powerful, strongest part of you. Love is the thing that helps you to rebuild your life again and again and again. So when I say love is like a spine, it's like we have all these different parts of our body, but love is the thing that connects all the different parts of our life. And it really lets us continue to go on again and again and again, even when we lose everything or we don't know what the next step is.
Oh, and you got inspired by like love in general, like with all your kind of relationship, or like one specifically?
Yes, all relationships. That's a great question. For me, I think we focus so much just on romantic love.
Yeah.
And I'm a big romantic. I love romantic love.
What is your sign?
But I'm an Aries.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're fire.
Big love.
Big lover.
Big love. And I think it's amazing, but I also think we miss like the love between friends, or like the love of the music that you're making, or the love of going out in nature and just sitting by yourself. Like there's all this love that we can experience, but sometimes we miss it because we're just obsessed with like just the love of
Somebody.
this romantic thing that we feel like we're supposed to be obsessed with.
Yeah, but there was another post that you post that is it said this was us 5 months ago when we were taking a break.
Yeah.
What is that about?
Love, you went right to that one. Yeah, I have a very, very beautiful love story. I'm really grateful for it. So I wanted my whole life, I really thought like the one, I want the one, like I want the one. And I went through all these different things where you think it's the one, it's not the one. And then, I met this person and I was like, this is the one. And he was like, you're the one too. And we were like, oh, it's the one. And then because when you really are the one for another person, you see everything inside them. They see everything inside you. And it brings up all this stuff, like from your childhood, from the past, like all these things. And that's why so many people, we break up because it gets so intense. Like the heat, the fire of real love is so intense, you almost can't hold it. So it's like you can't look at each other. You're like, I can't even handle it. So when we got to this place where we both loved each other so much, but we felt like it's not healthy, we can't be together right now, we separated. We were apart for 4 months. We didn't speak at all for 3 months. And then 1 month we met, and we just, for an entire month, it was like in high school when you love someone, but you don't kiss or anything like that. You're just like walking and you're talking and you're holding hands and you're sharing everything. And we fell in love all over again. And now we've been together for like.
You're together.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Is he a man?
He is a man.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. And I love that. That's so sweet. Like I can't believe that after a break, you guys because when it's a break, to me, it's a break.
There's a lot of science. I know this sounds crazy to a lot of people, but there's a lot of relationship therapists that say the best thing you can do for a relationship is actually stop talking for 3 months, like go on a 3-month break. And then at the end of 3 months, you come back together and you say, do we still want to try again?
Okay.
Because a lot of times people say, no, actually, I'm fine.
I'm better
without it. But then if you both believe, no, I miss you, I want to understand how we can make this work, then you have a chance at a whole different love story that's like 2.0.
Yeah, but in those 3 months, you guys are now with other people.
I wasn't with any other person. He dated other people. And I think that's just an individual preference. For me, I actually was the girl who was always like dating other people. Yeah. So I decided I don't want to date other people. I want to be by myself. And I think whatever you normally do, like if you're the person that's normally like, no, I don't want to date other people, maybe date other people. Or if you are the person who is normally dating other people, maybe take a break and try to not date other people.
To do something different.
Makes
sense.
Yeah.
And like, how does he feel about that you dance like I'm pretty sure if you're still together, like you guys love each other and you accept each other, but like it might be hard for you like to find someone that accepts all of you. Does he accept all of you, or sometimes you have to like kind of like give up a little bit, or like he accepts everything? He doesn't bother about like the videos,
I am very, very grateful to be with somebody and to have chosen. I made a very conscious decision to choose to be with somebody only who had space for all of who I am. That was really important to me. So there are things about my culture, my spirituality, the way I dance, like it's really sacred for me when I'm dancing like that. And I know there's lots of people who will look at it and just see what they'll see. They'll just see, oh, she's not wearing any clothes and she's shaking her ass. Like, that's okay. For me, when I'm dancing, it's like I'm praying like that. It's like I'm like close to the earth. I feel so powerful. It's the most sacred thing in the world for me, but it doesn't have to be that for other people. That's okay. And I'm with someone who actually really knows who I am, and they know that that's what it is for me.
Okay,
You know
I
what
like
mean?
that.
Yeah,
Very
me too.
mature. You said that it's like for you, like you're praying. Like, do you have any religion?
My religion is a mixture of many different world religions and spiritualities, all into my own experience of what God's source, divine intelligence feels like to me. So I don't have one religion that I follow.
That makes sense. I feel that all religions, they're kind of like blend to each other because at the end they all like basically something else out there, you know, something stronger than just what we can see. So any religion is kind of like they have different rules, but at the end of the day, it's believing in something else than us, right?
Yes, I think that for a lot of people, this conversation can be really intense. But I think ultimately for me, and I have friends from every different kind of religion. I have Christian friends, I have Muslim friends, I have Buddhist friends, I have Hindu friends, I have atheist friends who don't believe in
that's
anything.
crazy.
But what connects us all is believing that this human life is not the only thing.
But the atheists, they don't believe in anything.
But atheists, I was an atheist. So atheists don't believe in God, but it doesn't mean they don't believe in anything. An atheist might believe in science, and they might think that that science makes them feel transcendental about life, like that they know there is something beyond, but it's not in the way that other people say it's God, it's this, it's spirituality. An atheist won't identify with spirituality. They'll say, I don't know if there's anything after this life. But I know atheists who are really incredible scientists who, when they're looking at a molecule, like in a magnifying glass, they're having like a spiritual experience.
Wow. Never heard of that. That's interesting. And I see that you have a very interesting look with your tattoos and your look. I love it.
Thank you.
It's like that comes from like your religion. It comes from like your spirituality. Did you develop that fashion, or you always been like this, or is?
I think most of this is just me. It's just many things from all over the world. But in my culture, in Polynesian culture, tattoos is called tatau, and tatau is a ceremony. So it's if you've ever seen videos of people having like a really intense tattoo ceremony, and they have like it's a long metal rod, and you do tap, 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 like tap by tap by tap by tap, and you have big tattoo pieces. Sometimes men have to hold you down.
That sounds like it hurts.
So intense, yeah. So in my culture, it's a really deep part of my culture, so that's my influence. But I have tattoos from all over the world, all different countries I've been to, and I have just always,
You have the regular ones, not the tatat.
I haven't done any tatao.
No,
I'm
tatao.
waiting till I go back to
You
Samoa
wanna
with
do
my
that?
family. Yeah, of course. I
Really?
have to, yeah.
But it doesn't. It sounds like you're hurting your body.
No, it's so there's also there's a root that's called kava that you drink before, so it helps to relax your nervous system, and it's like a sacred root, and it's a whole process. So if you love tattoos,
It's like a drug.
No, it's like
Alcohol.
they make even like tea out of kava root.
Okay.
It's just a very deep, relaxing root that you pound into a liquid. So you drink that before the tatau, and it helps to calm you down a little bit.
Okay, all right. And since you're talking about like since we're in the religion side, I also see that you talk as a public speaker. You give such like inspirational and like motivational talks, you know, about like make you better, like a better person, like get over stuff or like go through tough things, and like how you can go through that and like be stronger, right? Like you have a lot of posts when you are talking about how you were bad before, or how you went through very dark moments, and now you came out stronger and like is who you are right now, you know? So could you talk about a little bit about those dark moments, maybe like the darkest, or what do you mean by that?
Yeah, I think all of us have been through things that are really challenging in our life, whether it's, you know, some people say like they've been through trauma. Like I have been through things that if we sat down, and that's a whole other podcast, but if we sat down and had that conversation, you'd be like, what? You know, things like you watch in a TV show or on the news or something that seems like, wow, oh, that's crazy. But sometimes people just had a really challenging time in their life where they had to move to a different city and they had no friends.
Yes.
Or they were trying to start a new job and they just kept failing and they felt so alone and they didn't know what to do. You know, all of us have been through challenging times. I really believe that in those challenging times, we have an opportunity to become like the next biggest version of ourselves. Mm-hmm. But sometimes because it's so lonely to be in those places, we just stay where we are because we don't have anybody who we can talk to about these things. And so in order to stay connected to the people we have in our life, we just keep these things quiet and we keep them to ourselves.
Yeah.
But I think that for many of us who have been through hard challenges and then we know, okay, I'm going to find this one person or this one friend, or I'm going to listen to this one YouTube channel or this Instagram account, and it's going to make me feel like there's a life beyond this. You're not alone. You can get beyond this. Your whole life can change and the most amazing things can happen. So I remember times in my life where I didn't have people that I could connect to. And so I love to send those messages out into the world, because sometimes I would just be on YouTube or on Instagram and I would see a stranger I didn't even know, but they would say something that would just help me to take this step towards my future instead of going backwards towards my past.
So what did you, in that dark moment that you have in your life, did you, like, what was the age that you were when you had, like, that darkest moment?
So my whole childhood was really challenging. Really challenging. There was a lot of beautiful things in my childhood, a lot of beautiful things, but a lot underneath. Like that was really hard going on in my family and at home all the time. But I think the hardest time I ever had actually was when I was a teenager. I was like a crazy teenager. I did whatever I wanted. Aries woman.
Yeah, very impulsive, Aries. Very impulsive.
I did whatever I wanted. And I was surrounded by friends I loved. I had really good things in my life, but I was so angry, and I didn't know why. I was just angry at life. I was angry at people. I was angry at the world. Mm-hmm. And that took a long time for me to heal. Like, I had to really take all these pieces apart. Why are you so angry? What happened here? Oh, this makes sense. Oh, I understand. Okay, let's look at that. Like a puzzle. You know, you have to take every piece apart.
Did you go to therapy to, like, do that? Or?
So much. I had years of many different types of therapy, which is what led me to somatic therapy, which is the therapy that I now use in my work, which is really great because it moves your emotions and your feelings through your body. So you're not just talking the whole time. You're actually helping your body to release, you know, things that it's been holding on to.
Yes.
And I've done 10 to 15 years of every kind of therapy that you can imagine. And it really works. It changed my life.
Basically, like, all the things that you were healing as a teenager and, like, you were growing up when maybe you were, like, a young adult, like, in your 20s, did you develop already this personality, or it took you, like, time? This is, like, who you are right now, 2025. Like, how long you been like this, like, doing all these things that you're doing, like, director, musician, like, you've been always doing this since you were in high school, or, like, how did you develop that?
Yeah, to be honest, I was always doing art. So from a very small age, I was in dance conservatory, music, theater, all of that. Like, I was always doing all of those things. But to become this person, no, I was a very, like, if you met me 10 or 15 years ago, I was a lot more anxious. I was edgier. I was, like, you know, like, ready to fight.
Yeah, like an Aries.
like an Aries. Now I'm like, people meet me and they're like, oh, you're so calm. You've probably always been so calm. And anybody who knows me was like, no, she has not always been calm.
Yeah.
So it took time, but I've always been creative. Like, I just learned how to make a living out of what I do. And I've been my own boss for the past 10 years because as an Aries, I knew I didn't want to work for anybody else. I wanted freedom. I wanted to be able to travel the world and do what I love instead of waking up and working for somebody else. So I decided, okay, how can I take all of these creative things that I always did from the dance and the music and the theater and turn it into a career where I'm paid to do that?
And how did you do that? Like, what was the first thing of your artistic, creative career that you came out with to like be independent?
The very first thing that I ever did was actually music. So I went to theater school, and I thought I would be there for 4 years. I was there for 1 year, and I was like, I'm out.
You don't like acting?
I loved acting, and I love acting, but the theater school, I thought it was my dream to go there, and I went there, and it was like, no. I'm going to be so bored here. I need to do more things.
Yeah.
So I left from music, and I learned how to play music, and then I figured out how to record an EP, and then I figured out how to get the EP to someone, and they gave it to someone else, and then I played a release party for that first EP, and then a woman she was the manager for like Joss Stone and a lot of other artists in Europe. She was given a CD of my music, and she flew me to France, and that was the beginning of my music career. I did like shows around France and stuff like that.
Wow.
And then I ended up in Kenya, and in Kenya, in Nairobi, there was a huge creative renaissance going on with just the most amazing musicians and artists, and I started to take the music that we were making and produce live events, and then we created content for the live events, and then we would partner with like Red Bull or, Ciroc vodka or whatever to do the events and then do the video content. And then one thing just led to another, and that was how I started to create my career.
Wow. And like relating to the therapy that you do for like people, for people to like feel better, is that the spiritual thing? How do you get into that?
So while I was doing all of that stuff in Kenya, all of the music stuff, the events and the creative direction, I was also going to therapy all the time. And my therapy that I was telling you about, the somatic therapy, was changing my life, but I was keeping them separate. Like I had my like music, events, lifestyle, party life over here, and then I had like my spiritual healing stuff over here.
Yeah, like everybody has like those two sides, you know? I feel like I'm the business one, but I'm super creative and like and funny sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. And so I was keeping them separate for a really long time, but then something funny started happening where when I was working with people for the entertainment stuff, they would like tell me a story like, I'm actually really spiritual. I actually really want you to help me with this. Can you help me with my creative work, but can you also help me with the spiritual thing? And so they just started to come together more and more and more. And I had a music collective that I started in Kenya that was called Cosmic Homies. And it was like a joke. We were in the studio and we were making music about like raising your frequency, and it was way before it was cool. Like it wasn't cool online yet when people were talking about like raising your frequency or whatever. It was just like
it
random.
Was weird.
It was random and weird, but we loved it. And so we did that, but it like kind of blew up like in this indie way, and so then we ended up getting asked to do like talks and workshops and performances. So that's how my
kind of like Reiki
is a part of it, but it was more like we were singing music that was about expanding your consciousness.
What?
And then people who are also on that healing journey or the spiritual journey were like, wait, I know what they're talking about. Like,
but like you were singing and that like would open your mind and it would relax you, and like that is a therapy?
Well,
it's like
that,
sounds?
That is sound healing, which I also do.
Okay.
But what we were doing was like mixing them together. So imagine if you went to like a show at a club or a music concert or something. But instead of someone singing about like, go get drunk, go sleep with that guy, imagine then instead someone is singing like, open your chakras, like get in touch with your highest self because that's your biggest power.
Like, I would be like, this is not my place.
Exactly. Exactly that.
I want to get drunk.
Exactly that. So that was why I kept them separate for so many years. But now it's like, everybody is in a different place in life.
Yeah.
But I think that there are a lot of people who want to get drunk and listen to high vibrational music also.
I wish you can fix me because I have so many issues. I wish you can fix me like right now. Like, could you like, do you do like a maybe like a maybe like that?
You want just like a magical healing?
Maybe, like a little
I think
bit.
it's a different person
No?
you're looking for. Mine usually takes a little bit more time.
Takes some more time. Well, then you send me the
I don't have the
information.
microwave version yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn
The
it.
mix with water here. I think it's
The
drugs.
potion.
It's drugs you're looking for.
Drugs? Oh my god, no! I'm so scared of drugs. Have you ever done drugs? Well, you
Yeah,
said like as
I
you're a
was
teenager.
I was a total drug addict in high school, and then I did a lot of drugs later. I had a long relationship with addiction, but you know, this is a very controversial statement.
Yeah.
I don't advise for anybody to do drugs, but drugs also saved my life.
What?
Yes.
Oh, you had to talk about that. Oh, you had to tell me what? What?
Because for certain people, when you've been through a certain amount of trauma, so you're so closed, you don't trust anyone, you don't know how to connect with people. Drugs are almost the only way that you feel like you can open your heart, because when you have a chemical in your body, it makes you feel safe enough for just 3 hours, 5 hours, 7 hours, however long that drug lasts, that you can actually have a connection with another person. So it took me years of doing drugs, and then I started therapy while I was still doing drugs. And then eventually I did so much more therapy, and I went so much more down my spiritual path that I just didn't need the drugs anymore. Like, I just didn't, I didn't need them. They weren't fun. I didn't have a judgment. A lot of my friends were still doing drugs. I just didn't need to do the drugs anymore to feel everything that it helped me to feel.
But okay, but like maybe like okay, maybe I understand like for example marijuana, right?
Yeah.
But like the rest, like more of the hardcore ones, do you also feel like that it would like make you open? Yeah, really? It didn't you say like you feel like safe around people when you were doing it, like when it's actually like the opposite because you're not in control of yourself?
So what we're talking about now is a deep conversation about like nervous systems. Like, you know, like every human being has a nervous system.
Yeah.
If you have been through a certain kind of trauma, a lot of times something that usually shouldn't make you feel safe makes you feel safer. So like I felt safer when the music was blasting, I was on drugs, and I could be in a place with tons of people. I actually felt good. When I was at home by myself with a bottle of water, I felt like I'm not safe. I'm not safe with myself right now because your nervous system is so out of alignment that it actually feels safer when it's doing things that aren't as safe. So it's a very interesting, and it's different for every person, of course.
Yes.
But for so many people that have been through a lot of trauma, you use the drugs in order to feel connected, in order to feel safe. And then the safer that you make your nervous system, then you start to actually have a more normal reaction to the drugs. So you take a drug or something and you're like, oh, I feel overstimulated or anxious. But before, oftentimes, you feel like that until you take the drug.
Oh, and now you're clean.
Yeah, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I'm very boring now.
Nothing. For how long?
Yeah. I don't even know because I don't even count, but it's been a long time.
A long time. Yeah. What would you say to people? Because sometimes people ask me things and I'm really good at giving like positive advices, and sometimes people, they don't want positive advices, you know? And then like they're going through this tough moment, and then I'm like trying to like give them the positive side. I'm like, oh, look, the life is not too serious. You're gonna look at this side. This is good. You're gonna learn something, and all that I feel from me, right? And then people look at you like, I don't need this. So what do you say to that people that they actually like, they don't want to hear sometimes positive advices?
Yeah. Well, I think there's two things. The first thing is, I think if you're going to give somebody positive advice, the first thing that you have to do is acknowledge what feels negative. So like think about a little kid. If a little kid comes to you and they're like, I got bullied at school, and the first thing that you say is like, it's going to make you a better person. They're like, she didn't even hear me. She didn't even take a moment to say, that sucks. I'm so sorry. How do you feel? Are you okay? That's really hard. You know what? It's going to make you a better person. That's a totally different way to go about it. So when somebody comes to you and they have like, oh, this thing is happening, it's so hard, blah, 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 and they want advice, what they really want first before the advice is for you to just say, I'm so sorry. That must be so hard. You know what? And then you give the positive advice and they can actually receive it. Now, the second thing is some people just can't. Some people just don't want positive advice. They actually just want to stay miserable or wherever they are. And for those people, the most that you can do is you still give them the positive advice. You just like, mwah, you're gonna, you're gonna make it through it. I wish you the best. And then you have to just get away from that energy because some people aren't ready to feel better.
Yeah, like Cardi B, like it says that, I wish you the best in hell. Is that? But do you feel that like also, like the house that you grew up is like the Polynesian and Croatian, right? So immigrants.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you feel that like the culture thing impacting your personality and who you are today and the character that you have?
Yeah, massively.
How is it growing up in a house like that?
Oh my gosh, it was so hard. It was really, really challenging. Very strict? It was different on both sides. My dad was not strict at all. My dad was like, my dad is a rebel. Like my dad is different. My mom was more strict, but I think it was because they were so different that it was also hard because then one thing's okay over here and it's not okay over here, and that was hard. And also just growing up as a child of immigrants in America is very hard. America is a challenging place to grow up as a child of immigrants, even though we have been known for there's so much opportunity here and there's so much that you can do. It's also really hard because the way people see you and they judge you and they don't understand you.
Did you feel that?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah?
For sure. 100%. And so many of my friends. I'm grateful now. Again, it's like the kid
because you were born here.
Home.
Like, you don't even have an accent.
Yeah, no, I was born here. But every single time I ever introduced myself, people would say, where are you from? No, but where are you from? Because you're not from here, obviously. So where are you from? So, as a little kid, you're like, what do you mean? I'm not from, like, I'm from here. Like,
Yeah.
So there's all these things over time that just make you have a really challenging experience. I'm so grateful now. I love my cultures. I love the way that I have been raised. But for a long time, you are like in an identity crisis trying to figure out like where you fit and where you belong.
Wow. What do you feel about what is happening right now with the immigrants and the ICE in LA? Like in LA, that is like literally a land they used to belong to Mexico and like is full of immigrants. Like what? They're gonna kick us all?
Yeah. Basically, I have so many times tried to understand because I really try to understand other people, even if I don't agree with them. So I really try. But for me, there is absolutely no logical explanation for the way that things are being handled in this country right now around this immigration. The violence, the lack of humanity.
Yeah.
And the ignorance of people just saying, oh, I don't know, like, they should figure it out. They're illegal. They should. There's so many levels of ignorance to the way that I'm watching everything happen. And like you said, especially in Los Angeles, in California, which is like all of our streets are like named after things from Mexico. Like all of our land is here because it's indigenous land. And then to take the land, make it impossible for people to even re-enter the land. And then for the people who have gone through the process of actually becoming legal and then kicking them out violently along with, it's really, really, really hard for me to understand. I spend a lot of time right now just trying to do the best that I can to be positive, a positive force of good for anybody that I can who needs that hope. And I'm also just dealing with so much sorrow and grief of like, I cannot understand what it will take for other people to see like this is not humane.
What is the biggest dream so far that you accomplished that you had maybe in your mind as a teenager, maybe as a young kid that you were dreaming about this and it came true?
That's cool. Well, my first biggest dream for all of my childhood was that I was going to get into my theater school that I did. And that was huge for me because I'm an immigrant kid from a really hardworking background. And the fact that I got into that school was like the biggest first thing I think in my life. And then after that, I really always wanted to tour as a musician, and I had never had any idea how that was supposed to happen. So when I was like opening at, a legendary place in Paris called l'Olympia, and I was like, oh, I don't know how this happened. Like, that was amazing. And then when I was starting to move also into some public speaking, I was always listening to TEDx talks, like watching TED Talks, listening to TED Talks. And I thought that would be so amazing. Like, I don't even know how to do that, but that would be so cool to do someday. And then I got to do a TED Talk. So that was really cool.
Wow.
But I think my biggest accomplishment in all of my life, any of the other things people want to talk about, is just being a person that I actually really love being. Like, waking up in the morning and feeling so comfortable inside my skin and in my body, because I spent a lot of years with like anxiety and just this sense of just, I don't even want to be in my own body. Like, I want to be somebody else. It'd be better if I looked like somebody else or I was somebody else. And when you spend your life like that, you're not living your life. You're just constantly living somebody's life, trying to be somebody else. So my greatest joy and my greatest accomplishment is actually just waking up every morning and loving that I get to be myself.
That's beautiful. I love because I ask you one and you name me four.
That's me.
I love it. No. It's very, and you know what? I like that they don't, for example, the biggest that sounds so far is like the Paris one, because that's what people have more in their mind.
Yeah.
But like, it's so nice that you feel that one of your biggest dreams accomplished is like feeling good about yourself and like not be wanted to be someone else. Yeah. That's so rich. And but I want to talk about the Paris.
Talk about it.
So that's great. Like, you went to tour on Paris. Like, did the performer, like the main artist, called you and said like, "Oh, can you?"
It was all arranged through my manager at the time.
Nice.
So I was invited onto her tour.
And you sang your originals.
Yeah.
Could you sing a little, or like a part? Yeah, of
right
course.
Now?
I have you here. I had to take advantage. I want you to sing like a part of what you sang on Paris in front of like a lot of people.
What would I have sang there? I don't sing for gold, I sing to fight the cold away of forgetting our fate. Yeah. Moonwalk through my soul, you'll fall down rabbit holes worth more than what any dollar bill could ever afford.
Wow. I'm shocked. I am gasping. That's so nice.
Thank you.
And that is soul.
Thank you.
The soul and soul. Wow. You have a great voice. Did you like grow up with that voice, or you were growing up like developing that voice?
Yeah, I think it developed over time. When I was little, I loved to sing. And then I had a situation where someone who was very close to me said, you have a really nasal voice. And so I just went...
And you were like, excuse me?
And I was quiet for years. Like, I only sang in my room. I would never sing out loud. And then when I left theater school, I told you I wanted to start. Then I was like singing everywhere, and it was really loud. And I was like, it took me time to figure it out.
No, because they say like when, for example, Miley Cyrus, that she went from like having a voice to like having a different voice, and it's because she went through like a trauma.
Yeah.
So her voice changed.
That is totally true. That's what happened for me, sure.
Did you always like soul?
Yes, it's always been my favorite kind of music.
Wow, it's like a very deep and like dark and like I don't want to say the word depressing because
you can say emotional.
It's depressing. Like
that's why the music that I produce always has like really good beats behind it. Because the melody is like
but that song,
but underneath it has like but that song when the beat drops is like it's a dope beat. It goes together.
Beautiful. And so are you excited about next week that you're performing here in the live Session Jam?
Yeah, I am. I am. I love playing with live musicians when it's in a band like that. Like, it's when you play with really talented musicians, it's like it's such a treat because sometimes you be going around and musicians are not that talented, like that lifelong talent. It's a different vibe.
But this is different because over here they are very talented.
That's what I mean. It's like, oh, okay, these are like real musicians. They're really, really amazing.
What do you feel that like they have this space here in LA about like be able to do this and bring like independent artists to perform their own originals?
Yeah, I think that this space that we're sitting in right now and all the different programs and the people, I've been part of different rehearsals that are here. I've met many different people who are coming in and out of this place. It's so special. Like, especially during this time right now in Los Angeles, when after the fires, after the strikes in LA, after so many things that have been really hard in Los Angeles, having a place where people can come to have a physical community as musicians and meet people who are doing all different amazing things. And everybody is about like making your dreams come true, being a positive person, like the energy is there. So I think it's a really, really special place here.
I like it. And are you like known in LA a little bit? Like people like go and see your shows over here, or like you're more all over the place?
I don't know. I think I'm all over the place. I think like when I said there, I have like people that will drive like 2 hours from wherever to come to my shows. Like there's definitely people in this city who go hard for me, And I think that because I'm such an international person, it's always been really interesting for me to, like, when I go to a show in London or something like that, and then someone comes because they're like, I've been following you on Instagram. I love you. I'm like, oh, really? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't, I don't assume
That's
it.
crazy.
Yeah.
I love when that happens.
Yeah.
It hasn't happened to me yet. But maybe one day. Who is your, like, artist inspiration for, like, soul music?
Oh, my gosh. I have so many. But I think, like, living right now, like when people ask me who would you open for or wherever, like I think Erykah Badu is just such an incredible, she's not just soul, but she is a soul artist that also does everything from hip hop to R&B to, everything. But growing up, I have many, many soul influences that are like the old soul 20s, 30s, 60s, 70s era singers, the like old vintage soul that you would hear. And nowadays, I think there are some artists who are really like, they're holding it down, but there are artists that are very rare, like Amy Winehouse, is like, they're once in a lifetime sometimes, these artists. So I like usually the artists that are more that like once in a lifetime artists, but I think there are amazing artists out now doing really cool things, and more than ever, I think that women are like killing it right now.
No, but I got fascinated by that one. I actually want you to sing a little more, but then I want you to leave something for. Are you gonna sing that one next week?
Yeah, I'll sing that one next week. That's the last song on my album that's coming out.
You're gonna sing songs from your album?
I'm gonna sing 5 songs from my album.
Nice. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for making it till the end of the video. I have a blast with Tihane here. She taught me so much, and I'm leaving with a lot of nice messages and new experiences from her, right? I'm excited to see her this coming Thursday, and she will tell you where you can find her.
You can find me on Instagram at Tihane, Tihane. I'll be the first one that pops up. You'll see all the things there, and come see us at Live Session Jam on June 26th at the Recording Club.
Exactly. And I'm Camila. If you haven't followed me, what are you waiting for? Camila Rule. Do it right now. Subscribe to my channel. Share with everybody that felt maybe inspired by her story and wants to hear more. And we'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.